Welcome to the Businessmen and Women of Color podcast. I am your host, Ann Austin, and it is once again my pleasure to bring quality programs to all of you. Yes, I'm going to say it again. I'm excited again for the umpteenth time that we have another amazing professional speaker on here. And I think she's an author too. I'm pretty sure she's going to tell me because she's been in so many daggone articles and she has so many accolades. I can't even read it all. And I'm going to read you a little bit of her bio because I'm really excited. And she was also is going to be in the BMWC mag for one of the women's influential women. So we're going to be looking out for that also coming out in the podcast. And just in case you did not know, the purpose of the BMWC podcast is to not only share our industry information, but we are encouraging you, the career seekers and enthusiasts, to go out there and see what's going on in the workplace, in the business community, so that you can decide what you would like to do for your future career. We want you to also take time and look at all the pages and listen to all the podcasts from all of these wonderful participants we have this season, because you cannot get this anywhere else. So if you happen to want to be on the podcast for next year and you missed this one, be sure to look out for the call of speakers for the 2019 BMWC and make sure you sign up. So before we get started with this really good interview today, we're going to thank our corporate sponsors and partners, which are Cat Serrano LLC, Cheryl Wood Empowers, Concern and Learning, Evangelism Radio, Genesis Preferred Solutions, J Coach International, Nels Tax Help, My Financial Home, Power, STCI, and the Student Teacher, along with our other business affiliate partners and sponsors, and everyone who is helping to make this event a success. So today we have a visionary strategist, a woman of life speaker out here, Shelly Mechet'te, who is going to be here on the podcast today sharing her information. She is an author, actress, host, and founder of PowHERful, and she got it spelled meticulously now, so you got to read it in her bio. That is a nonprofit organization which is designed to empower, inspire, and educate women from all walks of life, encouraging them to discover their lives and live their lives on purpose. As a native Californian, she attended California State University, Northridge, where she studied psychology, theater arts, and she has extreme detail to her administrative abilities that was afforded to her as she shared her talents for different companies such as Warner Brothers, Walt Disney, and Sabine Entertainment. So she has so much stuff going on in her bio. I want you to continue reading that because I really want you to get the full scope and breadth of her abilities. And for now, we want to welcome Shelly Mechet'te to the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am really excited to be here. I so appreciate the opportunity to just spend some time with you, Miss Ann.
Well, thank you so much. Okay, so let's just start from the beginning. You know,
Yes.
we know you're from California, so tell us
Yes.
more about you, your background. How did you ended up going from psychology to what you're doing right now?
I tell you, I always thought that I was going to be a psychologist, but I also always thought that I was going to grow up and be the most famous actress that you were ever going to know. Okay?
Okay.
Yes, girl. I was going to be gracing, all the stages and Oscars and everything. But I also knew that I loved psychology. I love the study of the mind. I love trying to figure out why it is that we feel the way we feel, why we do the things we do. And in the midst of all of those things, I was also a person that people came to a lot to ask, what do you think about this? Or, what would you do if you were in this situation? Or how do you think that I should maneuver this? So I had 50 different things going on in my mind from a young child. I grew up with a single mother, and so I had the ability to watch my mother work, to watch my mother provide, to watch my mother pour in. I have mad respect for my mother because my mother used to iron the clothes for the mannequins in the back of a store called Learners. And so she used to iron the mannequin clothes so that she could afford to put me in private school.
I remember Learners. Learners. You know what?
Yes.
I could not fit none of those clothes in there neither.
Me either.
I don't even know how they even sold clothes because in my neighborhood, everybody was over a size 12 or 14 or 16. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. And so I had mad respect for my mom for what she did. So she taught me through example that even in hard times, you put your best foot forward, you work, and you move forward. At the same time, though, Ann, I was struggling with self-esteem because I had an absentee father. And so as wonderful as my mother was and as great as she was and as much as she poured into me, she couldn't fill that other void. So I began to struggle like a lot of kids do.
Mm-hmm.
My mom ended up marrying by the time I was 12, but by that time I felt like I don't need a man. I don't need anyone. Men are not good for anything. Men are liars. Men are this, men are that. Yet I was still searching for what I was missing. It wasn't until I became an adult, until I stood in the mirror one day, crying, trying to figure out what I liked about myself. And the reason I was crying is because I couldn't see anything. I didn't see one thing that I liked about me. So I stood there and cried. And girl, I don't know how long I stayed there, but you know how you have them ugly cries and you just want to look at yourself after you
said
ugly?
Wait a minute, you said ugly cries. Okay.
The
I
ugly
think we
one.
all look bad when we cry, right?
Girl, but then you got the real ugly one where you like, now I know that I'm not this unattractive.
Okay, all right. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so so you went through the trenches, to
Yeah,
figure out who you was. And
exactly.
then what happened after that? I mean, did you just finally just decided that you just wanted to make a change and you figured out what that was?
I found that I liked my smile. I found the
Okay.
one thing in
Okay.
me that I
Hmm.
liked. And I went through a process of getting to know myself and find out, who am I? What are the things that I really like about myself? And I started with that one thing, a smile. By the time I finished walking through that process, and again, I've always been one who has given advice and loved women. I said, if I have this hard of a time, and from the outside, you looking at me thinking I have it going on, but if I have this hard of a time, and if I'm struggling this much, what must some of my female counterparts be going through? And I began to search them out.
Okay.
And God began to place people in my life for me to love, for me to hug, for me to be able to see past their hurt and to touch their hearts. And I fell in love. Fell in love
Okay.
with the women.
Wow. Okay. And so once you kind of fell in love with yourself, is this how you came up with the concept of PowHERful Woman? I
It's
want to say that.
actually, I know, it's so funny. It's such a tongue twister, though, right? It's like, ha,
Yeah.
ha, ha, ha.
But we know it's powerful. So we're talking
That's,
about the her in
yes,
powerful. This is how
yes.
you came up with that concept. So talk a little bit about that.
It actually isn't the way I came up with this concept.
Oh, okay.
I just began pouring into women with what I had. I had an
Okay.
organization called Rooted for Life, and I was pouring into high school seniors, preparing them
Mhm.
for college. And
Okay.
so I thought I was where I was supposed to be because I'm pouring into people, I'm loving people, I'm loving on the kids, and I was unfulfilled. And I'm doing this every week, and I know it's what I enjoy, but I still wasn't fulfilled. So I said, I'm walking away from this. I'm walking away because it's not fair. It's not fair to the kids that I stay here and do this, and my heart is not there. And so I ended up praying and asking God and saying, I really just need you to let me know, what's going on. What do I need to do? And God told me, you're doing the right thing. You're just doing it for the wrong people.
Wow, that's
Your
interesting. For the wrong
yes,
people.
yes.
Wow.
It wasn't my calling
Hmm.
to pour life into teens. My calling was to go back to my first love. And
Hmm.
my love, other than Christ and my family,
Hmm.
was women.
Nice.
Women. And to find the hearts and for God to use me to help women find their purpose so that they could live again. The same way that when
Hmm.
I found mine, I
Hmm.
began to live.
Yeah, well, let me ask you, Shelley. We have a lot of people who are so into women's empowerment, and I have to ask the question because I like to get different perspectives from different people on how they feel and believe about things. Why do you think that women need so much empowerment and feel that we are always lost? Because I hear that a lot, that we
Hmm.
are, like you said, something really profound, that you're so pouring into all these people, but you're doing it for the wrong audience, but it's still a needed service. So why
Yes.
do women tend to feel lost all the time with all of this empowerment that we have going on around the world?
Well, I'll tell you one reason why we're lost, and that's because the cycle continues. That's why we're lost, because we're broken women pouring into broken girls, expecting them to become whole women. And you're wrong. Until you find the
Hmm.
brokenness that is in you, it can never be mended. And we
Hmm.
don't need to know the brokenness, and we don't want to know. We want to continue to walk around, and we want to just put a concealer on top of the bags, on top of the dark circles.
Nice.
We
Okay.
to the root of things. See,
Hmm.
when you're broken and you're really ready to heal, healing hurts. Healing means I have to take a look at myself. Healing means that I'm not the person who I thought I was, and I'm going to have to strip myself in order to become the person who I'm designed to be. We don't want that. We want to say, rah, rah, ooh, ooh, I can do everything, but you never found out what's in you that has been weakened so it can be strong. So what we do is we turn around and we say, I don't need a man. You can do everything. Go out there, girl. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we raise girls on a falsified mentality that you don't need anyone. And if you're broken, just pick up the pieces and walk. And that's why we continue the cycle of broken women
Wow.
raising broken girls to
Mm.
become broken women.
Wow. That is so profound the way you just put that to the point, because and if you really think about it, a lot of us are sort of doing that. We're sort of
Every
like,
day.
okay, and I can see how easy that is, because it's easy for people to go in and say, let me help you be positive, let me help you
Yep.
figure out what you can do, but never really
Mhm.
addressing the brokenness. But sometimes I feel that, this is just my opinion, sometimes I feel that some of that brokenness can never be healed, but also we can give them methods to cope. And I think
Mhm.
that that's another reason why, to your point, that we're always going through this cycle of feeling like we need hand holding.
Mhm.
I will say, to the point that once you understand what your brokenness is, you don't necessarily need hand holding anymore. It's just about your own self
You
confidence and your own
okay,
determination. And
cool.
like you're saying, and a lot of times we don't do that. We want that woman that's next to us to give them, like you said, the rah rah, let's go, the
Mhm.
cheerleader moment. But like I said I think I mentioned this in my book, like, who is going to be your cheerleader?
Mhm.
Are you cheerleading for yourself? Are you
Right.
doing a hoo rah rah for yourself, so that you are either coping with your issue, or you are helping someone else cope, or maybe you found a resolution to your issue and it's just going to take you time to deal with it. But I
Mhm.
really want us to kind of like go to another level in terms of empowerment, like what you're doing, and taking exactly what you said as far as just keep on band-aiding, putting on the makeup, the concealer,
That's what
all
we
the
do.
foundation, and yes, you look beautiful on the outside, but you're all cracked up and
You
whatever
messed
on
up.
you said the
You
ugly
messed
cry,
up.
the ugly
We that
cries
other
underneath. I want us to, I mean, and the only reason why I'm expressing this too, Shelly, because the way that you're passionate and the way you explained it, I hear so many times about how we are empowering women, right?
Mhm.
And for the life of me, I'm like, okay, we have all this empowerment. Why do we still have this issue? Why do
Mhm.
people still feel like they have to say, let me find your purpose? And I think
Mhm.
you and some other people said that the purpose is always there. You just need to open your eyes and see
It's
it and
there.
accept it and know the truth, what it is. And don't try to change it and manipulate it. Just accept that's what it
It's
is.
there
And if we
already.
just do that, I think it'll be a little bit better for folks. Don't you think so?
I think it would be a lot bit better for folks.
Hmm.
But so many people, you've grown up in the mentality that, God skipped you. You don't have any purpose. Lie from the pit of hell. You have purpose every day that you woke up. You have a purpose. So that's lie number one, that you don't have a reason to be here. And when you're a young person, young girl or boy, it doesn't matter. And you have people who you trust, your mother, your father, your aunties, big cousins, telling you, you ain't gonna never be nothing. You can't do this. You can't go to college. Ain't nobody ever went to college. You can't this. They snatch what hasn't even been able to be rooted within you, which is you finding who you were created to be. You snatch it up before I even can try to find it. So I grow up with a mentality of don't reach for that. Don't pray for what the purpose is. Don't ask to be mentored. Don't do any of these things because I don't have it anyway. So I grow up angry. I grow up not
Wow.
expecting. And then I
Wow.
I look for somebody else who doesn't expect just like I don't expect. And then if I find someone as a young man or a young lady who does have purpose and drive, then as a man, a lot of times I become upset about that drive because I'm intimidated by it. And that's where we have a lot of, unfortunately, our abuse that comes in.
Yeah,
And as
and do you find
mhm.
that that is the same thing you just said about the women? Do you find that that's the same for black men as well, or any minority male?
I have, in me being able to talk to women, and I've been doing this for a long time. So in me
Hmm.
being able to sit down, with women and talk to women and really get to the core of who they are, a lot of times that's exactly what we end up with. I didn't know who I was. I don't have any dreams. I don't have any goals. And a lot of this is prevalent in the black community. And of course I say that because I'm a black woman, so this is what I see a lot of times. We snatch it away before we ever allow it to pour in. Because your mother didn't have goals. Her grandmother didn't have goals. Her great-great-great-grandfather didn't have goals. And we just continue to repeat the cycle until one day somebody wakes up and says, I don't care if none of you had anything. There's something within me that I cannot throw away. And I don't even know what it is. And
Right, but
you're
you
the
know it's
one.
there. But you know it's
But I
there.
know it's there.
Right.
And you didn't let somebody else snatch it up. And this is why, this is why I don't really, and it's going to sound crazy, but I don't really believe, as far as women, in the word empowerment. I think empowerment has gotten a bad rap.
Yeah,
You know,
it's a bit watered down. It's watered down and it's a little convoluted because it means so much to different people and has so many different
hmm
meanings. And I think, empowerment can be interpreted so many different ways that
right.
sometimes it just takes away the entire value of the word.
Right. And
Hmm.
when I began to step out and when I began to become a speaker and when I began to say, yes, I am a women's empowerment speaker, I'm like, but that's not really who it is that I am, because I feel like empowerment, again, has been watered down and has become the rah-rah. And that's when God really began to take me through and say, it's not that you're an empowerment speaker, it's that you're a life speaker. You're looking for the dead pieces. You're looking for the dead areas so that you can bring life to it again. And
Yeah.
and that's what I'm looking for. And that takes on a whole new dynamic because you could be dead and because you lost a child. So the way that I have to bring life to you is completely different than from the woman who was abused as a young girl. I can't bring the same life. So I can't say I'm just here to empower you because I can't pour into you the same way I poured into the other woman.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
part in your life could be I was a single mother. I'm upset. I'm bitter. I had three men who weren't here. I have three different fathers, and I'm just mad. Okay, I can't come to you and be like, yay, rah, rah, come on, you can do it. Come on. No. And that's what we do. We say rah rah to the woman who has been abused. We say rah rah to the woman who's angry. We say rah rah, to the woman who can't understand herself. And we never find out who you really are. I'm here to find the
Hmm.
dead pieces in your life. Why are you so bitter? Why are you a hater? Let's get to the root of it so we can kill it and
Wow.
then bring life to it.
All right. Now, folks, you already heard it. She got me quiet over here just about. I'm telling you, Shelly, you preaching. I'm telling you, because there are so many people right now. I would say in the last 2 years since doing this podcast, there has been an uprising of, and I'm not even going to use the word empowerment, of just fixing broken issues, finding purpose, finding meaning of life, just trying to figure out whether you should even live or die. Those
Yes.
kind of life decisions has taken over the mind frame of everyone in America, whether they have acted on those ambitions or those thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the fact that it's there. And so I am very concerned. I'm very concerned about the well-being of our adults. I'm very concerned
Mm-hmm.
about the future of our kids that's seeing all of this tragic this tragic,
Yes.
tragic. I can't even say it's tragic, but just seeing all this stuff where you have all these kids just giving up on life and just killing other
Yes.
kids because they don't want to die alone. It is so heartbreaking to me. And so for me to have people like yourself and others who is on this platform, and I'm pretty sure that by the time I get everything together, I'll have more mental health professionals on this platform.
Yes.
But it's so needed because we are now saying we need to stop the cycle. That's
We
basically what
need
you're
to.
saying. We need to stop the cycle of whatever it is that's going on in our lives. Take a minute,
Mhm.
pause, figure out. And matter of fact, I need to get you together with the lady that I interviewed yesterday that talked about the dialectical behavior, and which it talks about, where you might have a second personality and figure out,
Mm.
oh my goodness, that's going to be powerful. I'm going to have to do something
Ooh.
with you and her. It's going to be amazing, I'm telling you.
Girl,
But
that sounds good. I
I
can't
know,
wait for that one.
I know. So okay, so let me move on to the rest of your interview because I'm gonna tell you, I can stay on that subject all day long. Okay. So let's talk about some of the platforms that you have been a guest on, or maybe you have created to talk about, the concepts that you just said. You got Black Business Women Rock, you got Nationality Phenomenal Girls Do Phenomenal Things. You have all of those things. So, talk a little bit about, your experiences on just being in those activities and what the impact has been, just either working with them, collaborating with them, or even doing your own events.
Miss Ann, it's been a whirl. A wind. How did they put it? A whirlwind? Is that what it is? A whirlwind?
Yeah, it's a whirlwind.
Okay, that's what it has been. Because God is so good. When I decided, or I should say, when I listened, when God said to me, "You're doing the right thing. You got the concept down. You're giving it to the wrong people." I immediately said, "Okay, let's walk away." But I said, "But God, I want to be able to bring women together. I want women to be able to love themselves. If just for one day, let me show you, let me hug you, let me let you cry on my shoulder. I just want one day for women to feel powerful. Just one day." And God dropped it in. And that's where the PowHERful Woman conference came from, and the whole PowHERful Woman nonprofit. I just wanted
Wow.
one day for women to just wipe their hands of everything and to be
Hmm.
able to lay out, and we could talk about anything, we could hug.
Hmm.
And the platform, people always ask me, "How did you get started speaking?" I created my own platform. I created a conference and I
Hmm.
spoke at it. And it was the most
Nice.
exhilarating thing for me in the world. Not because I was on a platform speaking, but because I felt like, God, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And from there, the doors just began to open. I was most excited to be able to go to the Hey Girlfriend luncheon with Cynthia Billingsley because she's one of the women that I look at. She's one of the women that I admire, and she's doing what it is that I aspire to do and aspire to be, which, and to grow the way she has. So to be able to speak on her platform last year, 2017, to be able to get on her platform of those 500 or 600 women, however many it was, and to be able to speak to them about becoming a woman of more and becoming your fellow woman's advocate, I just felt like, God, we're going to make a shift. We as women, we are going to make a shift. And however you use me to do it, I am here for it. And each time I'm able to step before women and one woman comes to me and says, because of you, I did this, I know that I'm walking in exactly what I was supposed to do. I had a woman come to me maybe a few months ago. She had read my book or was in the process of reading my book, 70 Days of Happy. Life is better
Hmm.
when you smile. And she
Hmm.
came to me. She said, I read this every single day. She said, and it has changed my life. And she didn't know that I was the author of it. I ended up at an event where she was at, and she saw me take out the book. And she said, you're the author of this? And I
Wow.
almost got scared. I almost was getting ready to run out.
Wow.
And I was like, should I say yes, y'all?
Mm.
And she says, I read this every day. This has changed my life. And I'm like, whoa. look at God. That's what I'm doing this for, Ann. Not for accolades, not so that my name could be in lights, not so that I could get on a stage and people could say, do you know Shelly Mechet'te? I'm doing it for the lives that are being changed.
Right.
One lifetime. That's
Mm. You're preaching, girlfriend. You're preaching. I'm going to have to slow you down on this podcast. You're not leaving me anything to talk about. And that's not a good thing because I'm the host, right? So I'm having such a good time talking to you right now.
it.
Okay, so you done talked about the book. You done talk. Okay, so now the nonprofit piece, because we got to get back to the career aspect of
Yes,
this.
yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that because we got all that other good stuff that you said. Now, starting a nonprofit and just doing what you do. Let's talk about what your experience is on starting a nonprofit, and why would someone even want to even go into a nonprofit
Mm-hmm.
status? Okay, because I went through it. It's hard, but I want
Yes.
somebody else to kind of talk about that experience because there's a lot of people who want to do a nonprofit, don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to even begin to do a nonprofit or for what the right reasons are. So if you can kind of touch base on that, and we're gonna see what you come up with as far as like advice and stuff like that.
So you want the real truth, TRUF,
Yeah, I
about
mean,
this
really,
nonsense?
yes,
Okay.
real truth, girl. We got to get down to the
Okay.
bottom core of the stuff. There's too many of us wanting to start nonprofits out here.
Okay.
And my thing is that if you're going to start a nonprofit, you have to know the reasons and the why, and you have to know what you're
Oh,
getting
yes.
into. And so if you could share a little bit of that, we know that PowHERful is for your nonprofit, but let's talk about how you got it started.
So let's just go with the beginning. I hated every step of every process, of every turn, of every
Wow.
paperwork, of every day.
Okay.
Now that's just the truth, TRUFF of it. I fell into it on accident. And again, remember I told you I had an organization called Rooted for Life?
Mm-hmm.
That was my first organization, and I fell into it on accident. The only thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to provide a way for high school kids to go to college. So I decided to have a concert every year, and the money from the concert would go to kids at my church so that they could go to college.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I found out is that Uncle Sam don't smile on you taking money from folks and and giving money without there being a track record. He don't smile on that. And so when I found that out, and I'm like, you can't just go around just, taking folks' money and
That's
then
right.
giving money to other people. And so when I found that out, a young
Mm-hmm.
lady said, oh, this is the way that you would do it. You would start a nonprofit. That way you'll be able to track the money. You'll be able to get money. So it all sounded great. So I was like, sure, no problem. Let's do it. I just want to be able to get money for kids so they can go to college. Lord, I did not know. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know the process, the paperwork, the meetings that that you have to have, the year-end paperwork that you have to fill out, tracking of every single thing, what's coming in, what companies are coming. And I'm good at all of this because of my administrative skills, but it's not something that I was excited about.
Wow.
I,
So
I
all the
wasn't
paperwork.
excited about that.
I don't think nobody is really excited about like startup, but I think it's really just interesting that people need to know like the steps. You still have to, register your business just like any
Yes,
other business. But then
yes.
when you're doing a nonprofit status, going through the process of trying to determine if you are worthy of a 501c3 status,
1C3.
that
Yes,
right there is a monster because either you're going to be forced to pay the $800 and fill out the
exactly.
20-page IRS application,
Yes.
or you are small enough and smart enough to go through the EZ and not have to go through that, and you could just do it online.
Listen,
So,
I stay at the EZ. Let me just tell you, I stay at the EZ. I have had a
okay.
nonprofit for 7 years, and I stay right at the level of the EZ. And I do that deliberately because, and some folks may be laughing at me because y'all may want multi-million dollars, and maybe that's where the Lord will take mine. But at this moment, because I'm the only one with my small crew of people running this, I stay right at the bottom line.
Right, right. And that's really important because if you go over, I don't think there's penalties, but you do have to submit a different type of form and pay the difference to accommodate that
Hmm.
that IRS stipulation. So I guess for me, starting up my nonprofit was the same thing. I hated to have to go through all of that. I literally spent 3 weeks just researching how my business can qualify for the easy application. Because if you take a
Hmm.
look at that 20-page application they really want you to fill out, you
Yes.
have to have a lot of stuff in place. And good thing I did a lot of research too. And I talked to my board and we actually got all of the key things done first so that we had a structure. And once we had that, then it was no problem doing it easy and paying online. It was actually so much cheaper. So I'm
Hmm.
like you, I want to
I
stay at the
say,
minimum right now.
girl, I say right at the punchline. There's the rate, and then there's Shelly, just like right there. And what's so awesome, and you made a great point, it's so important with any type of business, but especially a nonprofit, because the government, this is them pouring their money into your stuff. So they're going to be in your business even more. So for you to have a structure before you even go forward is important. And that's something that we did not have because we jumped into this. This was me, my husband, and two of our friends, and we jumped into this. I don't even know what's worse than being blind and deaf jumping into something. But that's what we were, jumping
Mhm,
into this. And we were
mhm,
jumping into shark infested water. So we were
mhm,
learning as we went along. So we bumped our heads a lot. Praise God for me being a person with very detailed, and detailed skills, and I look at everything and read everything and calculate everything. So praise God for that being a part of my personality, because I really would have been lost.
wow. Yeah, definitely for sure. And then of course you still have to meet regulations like you mentioned
Yes, you
earlier
do.
about the donations. You know,
Yes,
just because you have signed up and did your article incorporation does not make you a full nonprofit. So you can't really take
exactly.
donations either or you'll have penalties, So there's a whole lot of
You need to wait
stipulations
for
you
that
gotta
letter.
find out. Yeah, you gotta wait for that letter, man. I'm telling you gotta wait for
You
that
need to.
letter.
You would do yourself a great justice if you just wait for that letter, so that you'll be able to have that status. And fortunately, again, God was so good to us because with our articles, we went out before we even had articles. We went out searching for donations, looking for donations. But God is so good in protecting, those who just do not know, that we got a lot of closed doors, and people were just like, no, no, you need to have this, you need to have that. And while we were frustrated at the time, I learned later that was the best thing that could have ever happened to us, for people to turn
Mhm.
us not donate because
Right.
we didn't have our actual status.
Right. And so, talking about donations, let's talk about that briefly on this one because I know that fundraising, people think that when they get a nonprofit, the money going to start rolling in, people going to want to donate to your cause and all that kind of
No.
stuff. And it is a lot of work to convince someone to fund your project
Yes.
or whatever it is that you do. Share with people who are listening what I would say give 3 top best practices that you can give to someone who is a new nonprofit or thinking about
Mhm.
starting a nonprofit, and how would they go about finding the funding to get that? And
Mhm.
maybe recurrent funding if they can get that.
Here's the first thing that I would say, and this was just, and maybe this is not other people, but when you first get your status, your eyes become big and you want to go after Nike. You know what I'm saying? And you want, because you believe in what you're doing. So you want to go after Nike and you want to go, after these big companies. I wouldn't do that. I would start the process slow. Mom and pop shops in your neighborhood, going out to your neighborhood and saying, hey, my name is Shelly Mechet'te. I have a women's empowerment organization, and we believe in pouring back into our community so that women can have an opportunity to live their purpose. Is this something that your company would like to connect with? Because I'm in the neighborhood. So now we get to know
Mhm.
one another. I get to know the stores in my neighborhood, and you're more likely to give me an in-kind donation, or you're more likely to give me a small $100 donation, $150 donation. I
Mhm.
would start small. and get to know your neighborhood and build relationships and build trust. Number two, be able to explain who you are and what you're doing in 30 seconds.
Like you just did just now. You were you were pretty good at it 'cause you just said it in like less than 30 seconds. So, okay, guys, if you didn't hear that on the first go round, rewind this podcast and listen to how she actually explained who Shelly Mechet'te was and what they doing and why they do it. That is a perfect elevator pitch.
But you need to be able to do that, because
Yes.
when I'm walking into your business, I don't care what business it is. When I'm walking into your business, you're there because you're working. Duh, it's your business. And so you
Yes.
have to explain for me to okay, because if you're like me, I'm like, thank you very much. Please leave your information. I'm busy. I'm a businesswoman.
That's
And so
right.
you need to have that together. That would be my tip number two. Be able to explain who you are, why you're there, and what you need. What is it that you need? And my third tip would be always, always be of service. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you're going to your mom and pop shops and you would like for them to donate, what is it that you're giving back to them? What are you doing for them? This is a wonderful opportunity to bring more publicity to your restaurant, considering that it's new. What is it? Search it out first. Who is this company? Who is this shop? How can I give back to you? When my daughter and I would go to different places to talk about deaf culture, one of the things that we would tell them is that we will come in and do a free workshop on deaf culture. So this is an opportunity for us to give something back to the community and to the people who you service for free.
Right. Those are very, very good tips. And that's good tips for any business, really. It doesn't matter if you're nonprofit, just going through the neighborhood and just touching base with those who you are providing the service to. I know
Yes,
I did that plenty of times when I first started out. Me and my sons just walked around the neighborhood and said, "Hey, why don't you just do this quick video? Be part of the movie."
yes,
you know,
yes.
some people looked at us and like, "Who are you? What are you
Right.
doing?"
But you're gonna
And
get
you're going to
that.
get
You're gonna
yeah,
get
you're
that.
going to get yeah, you're going to get that because you're a stranger, but then there's other people who really want to stand out and be part of it. And it's really all about bringing awareness. It's no different than this podcasting, your conferences and going out to networking events and putting yourself out there. You have
Yes.
to get out of your comfort zone. And I would add a number 4 is you got to have thick skin to accept the word
Oh,
no.
you
You
have
have to
to.
accept the word no because it may not be right for you at this moment. Not saying it's never going to be right for you, but maybe at this moment it's not right for you that they want to donate to your service. So
Yes.
you have to still keep that relationship, just say thank you very much and
Hmm.
keep them in the loop. And you'd be surprised. They sit back and watch and listen
Yes.
what you do. And then they come back and say, "Hey, Ann, I've been watching you for 6 months." I'm like, "What?"
Yes.
You never
Exactly.
know. You just
You
never
never
know.
know. And if I can add one more thing to that, Ann, I think
Okay.
you also need to make sure that you research who it is that you're seeking money from. If your company, or if I'm going out to a business and they're a business that's really, let's just say, about veganism, and your nonprofit has nothing to do with veganism, why are you going there?
Yeah, because all money
How,
isn't green.
what
All
what
money
what are
is
you
not green to you.
What are you going there for? Why are
Right.
you going when your nonprofit, has to do with eating ribs? Why are you going there?
Hmm.
Really need to be able to look at what are some companies that align with what it is that I'm doing. I'm going to align my things with companies that are about pouring back into women, that are about pouring into our girls, that are about giving to our girls, that are about teaching our girls different skills, teaching our women different skills. I can take my message into any shelter, because it's about rebuilding you as a woman. Whatever it is that you're doing, how does it connect with the company that you would like to back you? Don't just walk into any company. Do some research.
Right. Take a minute and do that. And girl, I'm telling you, have this podcast on fire right now. I'm telling you, you are giving so much good information, and people cannot hear that. They're going to have to just listen to this thing 3, 4, 5 times because I'm telling you, with everything that you said, whether you're a nonprofit, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man, it all applies to moving forward and doing your research and getting what you want just by simply taking the time to invest in what you need to do. And that's
Yes.
really all that boils down to in the end. Just invest in yourself, invest in
Yes.
the research, invest in your time and energy to give back to people who are servicing and helping you. And that's the true meaning of collaboration, building trust and growth.
Yes.
So that's how you build your business. And I really appreciate you really just putting this in a frame where people can literally just put it on their wall and they can see this every day. So I'm telling you, now, last thing I want to ask you, okay?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I want you to give out any conferences or activities that you're doing in the summer months. When this podcast comes out, it's going to be coming out in May. So if you have any activities that you're going to be in, let's talk about that, where you're going to be.
Hmm.
Then after that, give your contact information so that they can contact you if they want you to come speak at their event, or maybe
Yes.
they want to connect with you on some other venture.
Yes, thank you so much. I
Mhm,
appreciate that.
mhm.
By the time this airs, my web series called I Hear You will be out because I am now the executive producer of a web series. And at this moment, we are in our final moment of putting our pilot together so that we can release that. So I'm excited to say that by the time this podcast comes out, our pilot will be out, and we're asking people to support us. Our show is actually about deaf inclusivity, and it is about bringing the hearing world and the deaf world together through 5 young students at a college. And we're going to go through all of the insensitive things that happen on both sides, the hearing world, the deaf world. We're going to go through some of the silly things that we say to one another, and we're going to do it with entertainment so that we can cultivate what it is, and the direction that we're going as, as a nation, and how we deal with one another who are different from us. So I'm excited about that because that's a different part of what I'm doing. I will also be doing more speaking. I have a couple of more engagements that I'm looking into, and so some of those right now are not solidified. So I don't want to speak on it yet, but you can always go to my website to see where I will be next. But at this moment, I'm just so excited because God is opening up the door for me to become or to expand on who I already am, which is now an executive producer. So,
Wow, congratulations on that.
thank
Wow,
you.
fantastic. Okay, so give out your contact information so that people will not miss a beat on all of that information and all those great activities that you're going to be doing, because they got to catch the web series and everything else you're doing.
Yes, and for those who enjoy Facebook Live, my daughter and we have a Facebook Live every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it's called Tuesday Talks at 2. And we just snatch up different topics that are going on, and we bring them to you on Tuesdays at 2, and we interact, and we just talk to the audience about what's going on in life and give where we stand on those topics. So you can always join us every Tuesday on my Facebook page, Shelly Mechet'te. And I'm going to spell my name because people are like, "Ma who? Ma where?" And my name is spelled Shelley, and Mechet'te is spelled MECHE''Tte. And so you can find me on Facebook at Shelly Mechet'te, on Instagram at Shelly Mechet'te, and you can also go to my website to see any upcoming events at www.shelleymechet'te.com. And so on there, you'll see any upcoming workshops that I'll be doing. And I do a lot of workshops on women finding purpose, women finding who they are, and I do some company workshops as well.
Awesome. Fantastic. And so everybody who you're listening, you got a full breath of this whole entire interview of what she has to offer, what everyone here on this podcast has to offer. There is no reason why we cannot help each other find out what's broken, what needs to be fixed, how you start your business, how to get some funding, the whole 9 yards. You got it all wrapped up here in this podcast and all the others. And so, Shelly, I want to thank you today for being on the
Thank
podcast
you.
and
Thank
sharing all
you.
this good information with us. I am definitely excited. I'm hyped up now because I'm
I'm,
feeling the PowHERful. And that's the only way
I'm
I
so
can say it,
grateful.
right? So I'm feeling the PowHERful thing going on, and I hope everybody do too. So thank you so much for being on this podcast with me.
Thank you.